What's up, NFL fans? Welcome to another episode of NFL Chat, presented to you by www.sports-kings.com. I'm Andy Flint. Along with me today, I have John Judd. What's up, buddy?
You can't lose games in the NFL and still win.
All right, Trent. Also, we have with us Cody White. What's up, man?
What's going on, fellas? Hit me up on, fellas and ladies, hit me up on Twitter, WLater30.
You said ladies? I'm telling your girlfriend, man.
She watches it. That's what I got to say. This is for my girl.
No, it's not.
Love you.
He's trying to creep on Twitter. Anyways, we got a good show for you today. We're going to go over Richard Sherman's most recent blast at an NFL wide receiver. We're going to talk about the Detroit Lions and their kicking woes. Maybe their prayers are answered. Talk about Jim Harbaugh, Rex Ryan. We got some fantasy advice. We got a buy or sell section, and we're going to give you our games of the week to wrap it up at the end. Let's open this can of worms, guys. Let's talk about Richard Sherman. He says Pierre Garçon doesn't matter. We all know about the comments he made last year with Michael Crabtree in the conference game. Sherman, a lot of people have kind of went from Sherman being this top alpha dog cornerback to now we don't know. I don't know if it's because of his mouth or what here, but before I pass this around, I do want to say that he's got a point. I mean, Pierre Garçon doesn't really matter. 26 catches for 278 yards and a touchdown. That's good for 31st best receiving yards in the NFL at this point. So it's not like he's out there killing people. John, you're the Seahawks fan. Let's go to you first. What do you think about Richard Sherman? Is he out of bounds this time? Has it gone too far? Is he starting to lose people?
No, well, first of all, I agree with you. I think he's right, and that's exactly why he was covering Garçon, because that's what teams are doing this season, is they're matching up. They're not the number one wide receiver. They're putting him on the other side of the field because Sherman only covers one side of the field because Seattle has an amazing defense, and Sherman doesn't have to cover both sides of the field.
Let me stop you right there.
I digress. Yeah, no, I don't think he's wrong, and he got his hair pulled and all that. He didn't get a single flag going his way. Our defense apparently was one giant flag that game. So I don't have a problem with Sherman saying that. It's a part of his game. He runs his mouth. He tries to psych people out. He psychs himself out. He puts added pressure on himself. I think it's a good thing for him. I mean, it's not like he's saying anything wildly inappropriate.
So real quick before we get Cody's take, I wanted to stop you at one point there when you were talking about how offenses come in with this game plan to kind of throw, to take Sherman out of it. Isn't that the defense's job to then adjust, though, and put Sherman in the appropriate place based on his coverage skills? Because if he is this great cover cornerback or the best cover cornerback or whatever people might say, shouldn't he be wanting to go against? Because the one problem I'm having here is we're developing a pattern. It's not hard to pick on Pierre Garçon. It's not hard to pick on Michael Crabtree. I mean, Crabtree's another one. Obviously, he has 25 catches for 246 yards and 2 touchdowns. So he's really, at this point, no better than Pierre Garçon. So it feels like the guys he's kind of picking on are easy targets. What do you think about that?
Well, I completely agree with you, but that's who he's matched up against. That's what teams are putting on him. And I don't think Seattle has to adjust. If you watch our games, we don't need to put Sherman anywhere else because the entire defense is good. Everybody can do their job just as good. Just because he says he's the number one doesn't necessarily mean he's the number one.
So why are they giving up
I feel like our entire defense is full of number one dudes, so we don't have to move around.
The overall defense is so good.
Cody
yard bombs then.
Cody, give us your let's get
every team gives up 60-yard bombs, Cody.
Not as many as
your entire team gives up bombs every game.
The Bills gave up like a 44-yard bomb to Golden Tate at the end of that game on Sunday to prove John's point. But Cody, let's get your take on Sherman. Has he gone too far? What do you think about as far as him covering the easy targets? Is that?
Well, I mean, you're right. Pierre Garçon is nobody anymore. He was once, when he had Peyton Manning or whatever, was pretty good. But nowadays he doesn't matter. But if you want to be known as the best cornerback ever in the league to play the game, you have to cover the best receiver all the time. Don't matter how good everybody else's defense is, you need to cover the best receiver. I think that until he can say, Kelvin Johnson's garbage or A.J. Green is garbage, and he shuts them down or shuts down somebody who's not a subpar receiver, shut up. You're just an average corner till you do that.
Calvin Johnson before.
John, when he can do it consistently. Yeah, shut him down. Anyways, so until he can do that, he's not the number one corner. He's not going to be number one corner. He's just very good in their defensive set. They're great at rolling coverage over to him in zone defense. San Diego exposed him completely. He can't do man-on-man coverage. That was exposed completely. Seattle is known for rolling coverage to him, and whatever it works, it works. No doubt, their D-backs are awesome. Their safeties are awesome. They have the help there. Why not do it? But you can't go out there and run your mouth like you're the best if you're not going to cover the best. Simple as that. You think Deion Sanders ever would have ran his mouth and not cover the best receiver? Or Darrelle Revis, for that matter, who to me is probably is a top 3 corner of all time. He would cover the best receiver. He would make it known before the game. He'd run his mouth, say, I'm going to cover you, I'm going to shut you down. Whether he did or not, different story. But at least he tried for the best receiver, not some washed-up, subpar Pierre Garçon or Michael Crabtree.
I mean, and, to be fair, Garçon is struggling this year. He had a good year last year. I think he had like 1,300 yards and a few touchdowns for the Redskins. But, yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of torn on this because I don't know who's making the decision for Sherman to guard who he guards or cover who he covers or be on what side of the field. I don't know where that comes from. Is that Pete Carroll? Is that the
coordinator? If Richard wants to cover the best player, they're going to let him cover the best player. They're going to doubt my mind. If he said, I want to cover him, they're going to let him cover him. I
want to play devil's advocate here because the thing, if I were John, my first comeback would have been, if it ain't broke, don't fix it because it works. I mean, if they're winning games,
around and change up the entire thing philosophy that we put in place.
And I'm not saying I've never said
3 or 4 years that won us a Super Bowl. Why are you going to change it?
I'm not saying to it. I'm saying he should change it the way he talks because he's not the best corner if he's not going to cover the best.
Everything he's not doing it for you. He's doing it for himself to make it. And also the Garçon thing. He did it after the game.
No
it's
shit.
Not like
I know that.
Before the game.
It doesn't matter. But he's talking crap about subpar receivers. You want to be the best. Beat the best.
He's talking crap about the receivers that he covered against after the game.
Beat the best is all you got to do. Beat the best, and then you'll give some respect.
And also, he did when they played the Lions. He covered Calvin Johnson, and Calvin Johnson did not have a good day that game.
Calvin Johnson had a good day against the Bills last week. Doesn't mean he does have a bad day every once in a while.
Well, exactly, but I mean,
when was that Seattle Lions game? Was that like 4 years ago?
I don't remember.
Who was throwing the ball?
It was a while back.
Was it Sean Hill?
I don't know.
You take a nap now.
Yeah.
Anyways,
to make your point, Calvin did have a couple of wide open drops in the end zone, which helped him. But still.
All right, so
I just don't have a problem with Sherman running his mouth. It's just
so you don't have a problem.
You don't
have a problem.
Obviously,
Cody does have an issue with it. You don't take issue with it, John. I'm kind of the swing vote here. I mean, I guess at the end of the day, I don't have an issue with how he plays defense because I feel like in the grander scheme of things, Seattle's winning games. Their defense is doing a heck of a job. Why change any of that? That doesn't make sense to me. But maybe Sherman does need to dial back a little bit. I mean, I don't really have a problem with him and what he says. I mean, I do get a little giggle when I'm like, oh, he's talking about Pierre Garçon. I think we're eventually going to see it. He's eventually going to guard somebody good. He's going to talk smash. I mean, it's going to happen. So I do kind of like the what he brings to the field, what he brings to the game with his smack talk. I guess I'm a cocky person. I respect it. So let's go into the next one, and we're going to talk about the Detroit Lions kicking woes here. They had let me just bust out the stat book real quick. We had Nate Freese, the rookie who started the first 3 games for the Detroit Lions. He was 3 of 7 kicking field goals, unacceptable. He missed some big ones, a couple against Carolina, who had been the only team they had lost to at that point. He was cut after week 3. They brought in Alex Henry. He used to kick for the Eagles. He makes his first field goal, which is like a 50-yarder. Then he follows it with a miss, and then last week he misses 3. Cody, you won't like it, but single-handedly blew the game for the Lions against the Bills.
I got it written down right here. That's the reason why the Lions won or lost.
So the Lions are 4 of 12 total this season. That's 33% kicking field goals. The next worst kicker in the NFL is Mike Nugent of the Bengals, who's 8 of 13 for 61%, so double what the Lions' 2 kickers have combined for. The Lions went out now, and they've signed Matt Prater, Pro Bowler in 2013 for the Broncos, has some alcohol issues. He's currently in AA. He had a DUI back in 2011. Says he's been clean 6 weeks as far as the old sauce goes. But this guy's an absolute cannon. I think he made a 64-yarder. Cody, we'll go to you first. What do you think about the struggles the Lions have had, and then what do you think about Matt Prater signing on?
It sucks to see, even as a Bills fan, and that's the reason why the Bills won the game is because of that. It sucks to see it because the Lions are a good team, and it's 2 losses now. You can pretty much put on kickers who are supposed to be, pretty much within 45 yards automatic. That's the whole game plan. You get to the 35-yard line, you're getting a field goal most of the time in the NFL. So it sucks to see the woes of a team that's great defense, a dynamic offense, and they don't have a kicker, and they're losing 2 games because of it now. The Matt Prater thing.
Well, I mean, that Carolina game, they probably lose either way, but it was a different game early on because there was one point where it was 6-0, and it should have been 6-6.
That changes how people play offense too, so you never know. But no, Matt Prater, I think as long as he can stay off the sauce and stop getting in trouble, he's got a great leg. I mean,
I don't care if he drinks the sauce; he just needs to stay out of trouble.
No driving, but no, he's one of the elite kickers. Back a few years ago in fantasy, he was getting drafted in like 5th rounds by people that are crazy, but it's Matt Prater. He's pretty good. I mean, he's career 142 for 174, which sounds like a lot of misses, but since I think 2007 or 6, he's been playing something like that. That's pretty good stats for a guy who, he kicked at Denver, so he had light air, thin air, so he could kick longer, but I think it's a good pickup for Detroit. I think maybe now they can win some of them close games instead of losing them.
And he's going to a dome, so you're talking about coming from thin air to going to a dome. I think he'll be okay in that regard. John, your thoughts on the Lions kicking situation so far?
I think if you guys could score touchdowns, it wouldn't be an issue for you.
I agree.
I mean, how many field goals have you guys kicked this season? What was that number again?
I just gave you that stat. They've kicked 12. I mean,
12.
that's not
12 in 5 games.
There's plenty of teams that have kicked more.
That's true. I don't know. I think Matt Prater will be good for you guys, but I mean, we're really talking about a kicker kicking field goals.
I mean, when it becomes an issue, I think it's not the Prater thing isn't really the key here, which I'm glad they finally decided to get serious. It's more or less the misses. Like, how do you know what I mean? It's and I will put it like this: when we did the buy sell, the first week we did buy sell, I think it was 3 weeks ago, and I sold the Lions. John, I think you sold the Lions too. Cody bought them. This is one of those reasons. I didn't specifically mention kicking, but I've read the novel before. These things happen in Detroit. It's probably not even the kicker's fault. It's Detroit's fault. They're like cursed or something. So, I mean, I'm psyched to have Matt Prater. I wish these guys could have made some field goals. I won't attribute the Carolina loss to the kicking. It made a difference, but I'll directly, give the loss last week against the Bills to the kicking or the lack thereof. Let's talk about the B to this A, which is the revenge of Jim Schwartz in Motor City. Comes into Detroit, puts together a pretty good game plan. I don't think anybody ever questioned his ability to coach a defense, wide 9 sets and things of that nature, these funny sets he does up front. And, I told Cody this last week, 2 things you get from Jim Schwartz when he's your coach or your coordinator. A pass rush is the first thing, and then you get penalized. Like, that's what Jim Schwartz brings. He brings that undisciplined character of football, so there's going to be some penalties. But 6 sacks against the Lions, I mean, they walk away with the win. They hoist them up like they won the Super Bowl. Harry Schwartz out. Somebody should have hit him with a laser beam right in his eye. Knocked him down. So what do you guys think about the Schwartz? First of all, his revenge to the Lions, coming in, winning, putting together a beautiful defensive game play, and then B, the carrying him off the field. We'll go to you first, John, because I want to save Cody and his Bills glory.
I think it's awesome. I mean, it's not something you see every day anymore when a guy goes back and then gets hoisted up. I read that he had planned it before the game that if they won, he was going to do it. I don't know.
A scrub.
You want to talk about psyching people out and pre-planned things and douchey moves. That's awesome. I mean, that takes the cake. That's better than anything Sherman's done this season, I think.
Cody, let's hear it, man.
I mean, I don't think it's necessary by any means to do it, but I get it. He kind of got done dirty in Detroit. I'm sure they talked. I'm sure the locker room was a lot worse than the hoisting of it. What I hate is that of all the people to say something about it was Golden Tate. who wasn't even ever coached under Schwartz. He was never coached under him. So why would you say anything? You have no bad blood with Jim Schwartz at all. It's just dumb. I think Schwartz had a great defensive play. They only gave up 7 offensive points. Yeah, there was a few missed kicks, but I mean it was always 7. They only gave up 7 points. So that's a pretty good defense against one of the, Matt Stafford, Calvin Johnson. Then you said Golden Tate's the 5th receiver in the league right now. Reggie Bush, who's always a playmaker. They only gave him 7 points. So does he deserve to be lifted on his shoulders? Maybe after the Lasergate, he should be. Yeah.
The other thing too, going off of what Cody was saying, Golden Tate is like the last person in the world that should be saying anything. I mean, that guy celebrates a 3-yard reception for a first down.
right or wrong, he said some things, and I think it was a little over the top. But knowing Jim Schwartz, how I know Jim Schwartz, from a basis of being a fan of the Lions, and he was there for several seasons, I get it. I understand why he did it. There definitely was. He's a guy. He wears his heart on his sleeve. I think we saw that in Detroit for many years. I always liked the guy. I just disliked him as a head coach. I think, the discipline things I spoke about before. But, if he wins, about it. I mean, he's animated, and I expect nothing less from Jim Schwartz. Now, was it called for? Whatever. I really honestly don't care. The thing that really burns me is the fact that, they were talking about how good the defense played. And that's great, and that's fine, and the Bills do have a great defense this year. The thing is there was no Joik Bell suited up. I just drew a blank on our third-string running back. But either way, no Reggie Bush and Joik Bell are 1A, 1B. And then Bell's out, our third-stringer's out. What the heck's that guy's name? The kid from Notre Dame. Either way, they're both out of the game. They don't suit up. So it's Reggie Bush, and then you have the fourth-string guy. His name is Wynn, I believe is the guy's name. George Wynn. I've never even heard of this guy before, honest to God, and I'm a Lions fan. So Bush gets hurt, just after halftime. Wynn's in there running the ball. Calvin Johnson's already gone. So you basically have Matt Stafford, and we don't have Joseph Foria either. So you have Matt Stafford, Brandon Pettigrew, and Golden Tate. That's my nightmare. Those guys on offense.
Can I comment and say that we didn't have a Kyle Williams on defense, Nigel Bradham, Kiko Alonso, Ron Brooks. We were hurt in the defense too. We were on our second, third strings of defense too. So it wasn't like it was one string versus one string. It was just everybody was hurt. So that's why I call it a level fair ground.
I do hear what you're saying, but at the same time, you're talking a fourth string guy who doesn't play at all at running back at all. I mean, the guy gets no minutes. And Calvin, it's the best wide receiver in the world. The thing with Detroit's offense is it doesn't work without Calvin Johnson. It doesn't. I've never. You can go back to Green Bay last year. I think Detroit scored 7 points against Green Bay, who doesn't have a good defense, and all they were really missing was Calvin Johnson. I just think that it doesn't drive. But yeah, the Bills did. They had guys that didn't suit up too. I think that the game plan, the defense with Schwartz, just got a little overblown. I think they played good defense, but it's you played good defense against nothing else. I mean, Detroit's defense is banged up too. We don't have Stephen Tulloch, who's probably our best defensive player. Things of that nature. Anyways, I digress. The Bills did a good job. They won the game. They're supposed to,
Kid Rock, baby, 15.
They're not supposed to win that game, really. But oddly enough, Cody, when I told you that I thought the Bills might go 1-3 over those next 4 games,
one win was the Lions, yeah.
The one win I gave them was Detroit. So now, all they got to do is lose to New England this week, and I'm right. So I hope they don't, though, because I don't care about Tom Brady. That's for you, Pistol Pete. Anyways, let's jump into the next segment. That's going to be Rex Ryan and Jim Harbaugh. Speculation over both of these guys right now, whether or not they'll be back next season. And I want to get you guys' take on whether or not you think they'll be back coaching the Jets and the 49ers, respectively, next season. Cody, we'll go to you first.
As far as Harbaugh goes, I think it's too early in the season to tell. My main thing is if they finish higher than Seattle, if they go farther in playoffs than Seattle, then I think Harbaugh keeps his job. If they don't, I think it's time for a change. You can't keep losing the same team over and over and over and expect to not get fired. It's just you got to switch some stuff up. So it all depends on if Seattle, get the playoffs and they beat them in the divisional or in the conference championship. Then maybe and he goes, well, maybe he stays. I know players are happy with him, but the players don't really have a say. It's up to the owners and the GMs and all them who have to really have the final say. Jim Harbaugh's a good coach, great defensive coach. I don't think he deserves to be fired by any means. He took a team that was subpar a few years ago and made them into an elite team. I mean, yeah, they're not playing up to that normal San Francisco 49ers standard right now, but they're not playing horrible by any means. So as far as Rex Ryan, though, we talked about this a few weeks ago. I've been thinking like the last 6 years or whatever since he got the first year he got there, whatever he should have been fired. I think the guy's terrible.
They were in the playoffs and stuff, though.
Yeah, but I still think he's terrible. I don't know. I digress. I think barring some miracle where they make the playoffs somehow, I think he has to be fired. Just a simple thing again is if you keep doing the same thing over and over and over, missing the playoffs over and over and over, you don't deserve to be a coach at that team. Maybe you don't fit there. Maybe the personnel's not right. Either way, if you're not making the playoffs consistently, you shouldn't be coaching at that team. Now, as far as next year, I think Jim Harbaugh will be there at the Niners. I think Rex Ryan will probably be a defensive coordinator someplace because I'm sure the Jets are going to fire him, and he's probably not going to head coach job right away, but he'll be a defensive coordinator someplace, I think.
John, let's get your take here.
Yeah, I think either way, no matter what, I think Rex Ryan's done. I think it's his last season there. I could see him probably going to Oakland. I think that'd be a good fit for him. But as far as Jim Harbaugh, his name's irrelevant. I don't know. It's stupid. No, I don't see any way that he is. You can't fire him. He's done nothing wrong. All he's done is win. He's gone to 3 or 4 straight conference championship games.
He's lost to the Super Bowl winner 3 times in a row.
Yeah, but he still made it. He's made it that far to
no,
one game away.
I'm agreeing with what you're saying.
Oh, yeah,
they lost to the Giants, who won the Super Bowl. They lost to the Ravens in the Super Bowl, and then they lost to the Seahawks, who won the Super Bowl 3 years in a row. I mean, they've gotten beat by the best in the playoffs. There's no shame in that.
And to be fair, realistically, last season the Super Bowl was the NFC Championship, so you could easily say that they might have been the number 2 best team in the NFL. So I don't see any reason why that Jim Harbaugh should be fired at all. This whole the players, he doesn't get along with the players thing is irrelevant to me. I mean, suck it up. You don't have to like the guy, but he's also leading you to deep into the playoffs every season.
You know what, though? Before you touch on the Rex Ryan thing, the thing with the players is I think most of the players in that locker room like the guy. I think it's a couple who have, you know what I mean? It seems like most of them have come to his defense. So you can continue with the Rex Ryan thing. That's all I had to say. I didn't want to forget.
Wait, yeah, Rex Ryan, no, he did great when he first came in when he had a team around him, but I feel like it's partially his fault that he doesn't have a team around him anymore. I mean, he's got some say in it, and it's your own fault for getting a washed-up Michael Vick. It's your own fault for drafting Geno Smith. I mean, it was your choices that led you to where you are right now as a coach and as a general manager. I know that's not all his fault, but your offensive schemes are like what you brought it up. They had like 3 running backs on the field at one time, and you could tell what they're going to do. The butt fumble thing, I get it. He's had a lot of bad breaks as well, but it's not. I mean, I think it's time for them to maybe just start over, get some new blood in there, and see what happens.
Yeah, and Rex was. I'll start with Rex, and I'll keep it short but sweet. Rex Ryan, I think he's gone for sure. I agree with you guys. A couple of quick stats I had was, in 6 seasons as the Jets head coach, he's went 23-30 since 2010, and that's counting the 1-4 start this year. His last winning season was 2010. They went 11-5. That was when they had guys like Mark Sanchez. Mark Sanchez was always kind of masked because they had a good defense and they had a good running game. So I think Rex, he's gone. I do think the Oakland thing's interesting. He could end up there, something like that. Jim, as far as Jim Harbaugh, is that how you said this? I think the players do like him. I think he's a guy who can connect with the players because he's kind of one of those he's like your crazy Uncle Tony who smokes Newports and drinks beer at family functions. He's like that guy. He's kind of inappropriate, but he touches base with people, with the younger generation. People like him. The same thing with Jim Schwartz in Detroit. He was a loose cannon and stuff, but all the players seemed to genuinely like the guy, and they were upset when he left. It's kind of like an older brother raising you versus your father raising you or something, the older brother, kind of wants to steer you in the right direction, but at the same time, he's a kid too still a little bit, so he's teaching you this bad stuff. Anyways, I got way crazy in that. I do think Harbaugh is going to be back next season, and I'll base this off some stats too. He's 39-13 in the one tie as the San Francisco 49ers head coach. And, John, we talked about actually what I had written down here. They lost to the Giants, who won the Super Bowl. He lost in the Super Bowl to the Ravens. And then they lost to the Seahawks last year, who then went and won the Super Bowl. So, like, it's not like they're getting upset by these scrub teams. Well, actually, nobody would be a scrub in the playoffs. But these fringe teams, it's not like these guys with the outside shot are beating them. It's the heavy hitters who are ultimately running them over. So, yeah, Harbaugh back, Rex Ryan. See you later, pal. Let's jump into our next one. Geez, seems like I made a lot of long categories this week. Buy, sell. You guys know how this works. Everybody watching understands how it works. We give you some categories, and everybody's going to either buy or sell these categories based off of whatever. Start with the first one here, which is Richard Sherman. We talked about him a little bit at the top of the show. Do you think Richard Sherman is a top 3 cornerback in the NFL right now, this minute? John Judd. Yes.
No, I don't think he is. It breaks my heart, but I mean the stats don't lie. He doesn't have an interception. He is getting beat a lot, but I think it's still early. He can turn it around. But no, I sell Richard Sherman as a top 3.
And to be clear, I don't mean do you think he's playing like a top 3. I mean, do you believe he is a top 3? Right.
No, not. I mean,
okay.
Not
I was just making sure you understood the question. Cody, go ahead.
I am buying that he's a top 3. I got him, Revis, and Talib pretty much the top 3 corners right now in the league. So maybe he doesn't have an interception, but he does other things that you don't see on stats. I was picking up earlier about how he's got to roll the coverage, but in that defense, he can get that help. He can play how he wants to play, and it works out. Like I said before, top 3 doesn't mean that you're the best. So don't act like you're the best.
I'm also buying this. It's funny that the Seahawks fan is the only one who sold this week. I do think he's a top 3. I'm honestly I'm not really sure where I think he is 1 through 3, but I do think he is in the top 3. I think you got guys to discuss like Revis and maybe a guy like Joe Hayden or somebody like that. There's definitely some guys in there to discuss. The next buy or sell we have, John Judd, you should be ashamed of yourself. Is Adrian Peterson going to play a game this season? John.
So, do I need to elaborate? The guys, he's
you don't have to.
Right now. Yeah, there's no way he's coming back. If he comes back and Ray Rice doesn't, that's just another issue for the NFL. So, no, I don't think the NFL is going to give themselves even darker of a black eye and not play against the season.
AP still has a contract, though. Ray Rice doesn't, so.
No, that's true. I didn't, yeah.
Okay,
no,
so
I still
Cody,
don't think he comes back. Yeah.
Buy, John selling, you buy, sell. Adrian
I am buying AP coming back. I know this sounds really bad, but he just yesterday got appointed a speedy trial, so it starts December 1st, which means it'll go a week or two. It'll be done and over with. And if he's not convicted of it, why would he not be back on the field? You can't just suspend him for not doing anything wrong. If he's proven not guilty in court of law, and in Texas, it's corporal punishment is legal. And that's what's considered. Is it right? No. I'm not saying it's right. So don't throw me in the spot. As far as me buying him playing again, yes, he's got the speed trial going for him. He's not taking a plea deal. He already said that he's not pleading out. He's going to fight the fact that he doesn't think he's a child abuser. They're just trying to help us, teach his son, right from wrong. So I think that he gets back on the field at some point this season, maybe the last game of the year, or somewhere around there. But he'll be back.
The thing about rumors, if you take them and you seal them up in a can, and you put them in a safe, and you lock that safe, and you wrap that safe in chains, and you put it inside a trunk, and you lock that trunk, those rumors, they still come out. Like, there's no way to keep a lid on these things. Now AP's at the telly with a bunch of broads, partying it up with charity money, and it's speculation, obviously, but, it seems like every time this thing starts to calm down a little bit, something else happens. And it's pretty soon they're going to be talking about how AP has that Malaysian airplane in his backyard and he's hiding it. And I don't know. I don't see it. I'm selling Adrian Peterson suiting up again this season. I feel like the NFL is really in, cover-up mode. We've got it's damage control, and
that's the only reason why I would see if he doesn't get convicted. If he's set free with no conviction. That's the only way I could not play is the NFL just try to cover the tracks from this horrendous season they've had so far.
And I want to state that I think that he's going to be found innocent because of the things you said, Cody, with Texas law and the fact that he's Adrian Peterson. And for the most part, before recently, he was kind of viewed as a stand-up guy who just lost a child of his own and things of that nature. So I want to say that I think the NFL will be the roadblock. Yeah. I think the NFL is ultimately going to be his roadblock, his hurdle for coming back this season. I
also think Adrian Peterson probably played his last game with the Vikings too.
Very possible. Very possible. Okay, so let's go to the next buy-sell. That is LaShawn Shady McCoy, guys. Buy or sell Shady McCoy finishing in the top 3 in rushing yards this season. John, camera's on you. We'll stick with it.
Sell it. He's he's not gonna. No way. He's averaging 54 yards a game, 2.9 yards a carry, and he doesn't have a 100-yard game.
2.9. I can get 2.9 per carry right now. Just coming from my couch.
0 100-yard games. I don't think so. I think Mr. Murray down there in Texas. Oh God, this stings because I hate Jim Ricalto so much. But Le'Veon Bell and I think Marshawn Lynch I think they're all 3 going to finish and have better seasons than him. So no way. No. Sorry, Burley.
Cody, buy or sell?
I'm selling it. I don't blame it on Shady though. It has happy offense now with Nick Foles in there. They've got some explosive stuff going on. They like to throw it down the field, so Shady kind of gets left in the back burner. He gets his touches still. The offensive line is not the greatest this year as it has been in the past. So I'm selling, and I got my top 3 as DeMarco, Le'Veon, and Arian Foster because Fitzy's going to kind of start screwing up, and they got to throw the ball to Arian some more.
I'm also going to sell this. And that's actually the top 3 right now in the league. Cody is DeMarco Murray, Le'Veon Bell, and Arian Foster. The funny thing is McCoy is like 130 yards behind Foster right now.
I got it right here. Foster's got 404, and Murray's got McCoy's got 273. So yeah, it's bad.
Yeah, and that's in Foster's only played 4 games.
Yeah.
So he's like 130 yards less than him in one more game played. I think the defenses are really gearing up for McCoy. They want to stop McCoy, even if it costs them a little bit in the passing game, which we've seen this far this season. But yeah, I'm selling. I don't think he can do it. I mean, he's up against the wall right now. The next one, and it's our last one, is Thomas Brady, John Judd's best friend and longtime pen pal. Is Tom Brady still? Do you consider him a top 5 quarterback right now? Not is he playing like a top 5 quarterback, but do you think in your heart of hearts he is a top 5 quarterback? Cody, we'll go to you first. Buy or sell?
I am buying he's a top 5 quarterback, and this breaks my heart to say, but I have to because until they prove differently and they don't make the playoffs, so they start losing real bad. Everybody, on a weekly basis, like they lost real bad, and then they just crushed Cincinnati, a great team. So I don't really. I got to buy that it's Tom Brady's still a top 5 quarterback, and he's going to be until he's pushed off that throne, unfortunately.
No, they laid the wood to the Bengals. John Judd, buy or sell?
Pistol formation. Hey, it's John Judd here. Hey, Tom Brady's awful. He sucks. I'm selling it. He's not a top 5 quarterback. He's old, and he needs to retire. He's stupid, and he's got an ugly face. No, he's stupid, ugly, awful. Shut up, Pistol. I win. Until you come on this podcast and you tell me.
Yo, get this kid out of here right now.
He got muted.
You got to unmute yourself, by the way, Chief. I'm buying this. Tom Brady still a top 5 until I got to see it for a whole season, man. Like he's got to prove to not be a top 5 all season long, and he just had a big bounce back with Gronk looking like a legitimate pass target. You know what I mean? Gronk has a good game. Oh my God, Brady has a good game. Like it makes sense, I mean, let's keep it going here. I think Tom Brady's still that dude. So we're done with the buy sell. Now we'll get into the portion where we talk about our fantasy bounce back player of the week. This works as guys who have had bad weeks either last week or a few weeks now. If we think they're going to jump back, and these are generally, good players, top flight type guys. I'll jump over we'll go over who we had last week. John Judd and myself take the big L for picking Kelvin Johnson. Thanks there, Megatron. You made us wrong, and you hurt me in 19 fantasy leagues. I think he did worse last week than he did the week before. But, I mean, he was hurt, banged up, got hurt a little more during that matchup against the Bills. Cody's going to win with Nick Foles, even though I don't think he was really very close. I think Foles got about half of what you thought he would, but 15 beats 2 every time.
Yeah.
So congratulations. So let's do our picks this week. Cody, we'll go to you first. Who are you picking to have a bounce back week?
Well, after we just kind of threw him on the bus, I'm going to pick him this week. I'm going to go with Shady McCoy, Mr. LaShawn. See, week 3 he's had 1.2, week 4 1.7. Last week he had 6.6. It's got to be at some point he's got to have a good. Week 2 he had 19 points, I think it was. He's going against the Giants this week. The defensive front's not that good, so I feel like I don't.
I'm scared of their defensive front a little bit.
Yeah. Well, you were also scared. I will go there, but I'm going to go with Shady. Shady's going to come back with 16 this week.
16. Cody's learned mistakes of predicting 30. John, who do you have this week?
I got Michael Crabtree coming back and having a decent game.
You gonna put me up against the Stars?
No, he only got 2.1 last week. I have him on my team, and he's been doing consistently decent, between 8 and 13 points a game. So he only had 2.1 last week. He's getting around 8 targets a game. They're playing the Rams, who doesn't have an amazing defense. They don't have a horrible defense, but I mean, if you're going to get 8 targets a game, odds are you're going to have a decent day. So I don't think he does 2.1. I say he does about 10 points.
10 points, and we're talking about Michael Crabtree.
Are we talking about like top picks? There's no way Michael Crabtree got picked in the top 5 rounds, is he?
Michael Crabtree. So, all right, yeah, I mean, no, that's fine. Michael Crabtree works. I mean, my player, I'm going to go with a wide receiver again. I don't know why I'm doing this to myself because Kelvin killed me last week. But I'm going to go with Brandon Marshall. The Bears play the Atlanta Falcons. Marshall has, like, I mean, again, it depends on how your league scores, but roughly 15 points in the last 3 weeks combined. And, like, I think the week before that, so yeah, 4 weeks ago, he was, like, supposed to be out, and then he played and got 3 touchdowns when, like, half of the leagues had sat him or something across ESPN. Beautiful Brandon Marshall. I like what you're throwing here. You're throwing these smoke screens, and nobody knows what to do with you. I think he'll come back and get, like, a solid 18 to 20 this week against the Falcons, who don't have a terrible pass defense by any means, but I could see that game kind of getting into a shootout. You get Matt Ryan and Jay Cutler going back and forth. I think, you know, if you challenge Jay Cutler, he thinks he has the strongest and most accurate arm in the NFL, so he's going to try to do what he needs to do, and Brandon Marshall still is number 1 guy. So Brandon Marshall for me. Let's go to our games of the week. Last week, I took the Colts and the Ravens. Cody and John both took the Cardinals and the Broncos. I don't even think we need to discuss that one. My game was 20-13, I believe. You guys' game was like 41-20 or something. Broncos crushed them. So, yay!
Good for the Seahawks. Hey.
So let's go to this week's picks, and we'll go to you first, John. Who are you taking this week for game of the week?
I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I'm going to take the Steelers and Browns. I mean, it's not a strong week for good games, but it seems like every week the Steelers are playing close games that are winnable games for their opponents. I mean, they kept the Jaguars in it last week.
And the Browns don't stop coming back.
Yeah, Browns have beat the
Texans.
Texans.
The Browns coming back off one of the top comebacks in NFL history or something like that.
Well, they did it to the Titans, and that huge comeback, and they came back against the Saints like week 2 or 3.
Yeah, so
a nail biter.
They're coming off these comeback wins. Steelers are always keeping their games close. It's a great rivalry throughout history of football, so I think it's going to be a good game. I'm going to say another 17-9 game.
And I like John's pick a lot because the Steelers have like let teams come back a couple times this year, and the Browns have been pretty good at coming back in games. So it's like, wait till the Steelers are up like 24-0, and Jim Mercalto's throwing a mini party in RBI, and then all of a sudden, here come the Browns in the third quarter, and it's knotted up before you know it. Cody, what's your pick this week?
John hit the nail on the head when he said it's a rough week for picks, and I wanted to go hometown with the Bills Pats, which I still think is close number 2, but I'm going to go with Colts Texans tonight. I think Andrew Luck's playing on a tear, so J.J. Watt's playing a great defensively this year, probably playing for Defensive Player of the Year right now. So I got to go with Colts winning 24-17. And it's a really star week of games.
And hopefully this show is processed and up and running by the time that game airs tonight.
Hopefully.
But I'm gonna work my magic, okay? So my pick this week is going to be, we're gonna have a nice little divisional matchup here, and I'm gonna go with the Giants at the Eagles. I think everybody was calling the Giants and Eli Manning's career dead after the first couple of weeks, and they've really responded and won some good games. The Eagles, started off looking really good, especially offensively. They finally managed to lose a game, and now I feel like these divisional games with these teams, especially with the, you get with these guys, it's always there's hatred. They don't like each other, and I think it's going to make for a good game. And Cody, I think I like the Giants' defensive front. I think it's scary. They got some big athletic guys up there. So any comments about anybody else's games of the week?
Subpar week for football. Subpar week for football, I think. I think it's kind of like blowouts are kind of going to be in the making this week.
The thing with the NFL is it's like there's never like a decent amount of we're never without a decent supply of good games. Like it seems like every week, no matter who, it's always the games you don't expect. All of a sudden you're like,
exactly what it is.
why are the Jaguars playing the Broncos tough in the fourth quarter right now? Stuff like that.
Right.
It's just like it's crazy. If you guys go ahead, John, go ahead.
The other thing I was going to say is I'm kind of sketchy on Cody's pick. Every single Thursday night game this season has been a monumental blowout.
Most primetime games, period, have just been terrible. We finally got blessed with a good game Monday. Finally. Who saw that coming? Like, no way. I mean, rightfully so, that game should have been 62-0. Anyways, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. As always, stop on over to www.sports-kings.com. Since you're here on our YouTube page, you can subscribe, leave a comment, hit us up with a like, and tell your friends. Until next week.
Hey, Andy, wait, before we go, I just thought I'd let you know you spelled your name wrong on your lower third. I wanted to tell you that now at the end.
AMD. That's great. Hey, listen, not ladies, because I'm not Cody, and I'm married, but whoever wants to follow AMD Sports Kings on Twitter, you'll make his day. I'm not sure who that is, but until next time, take it easy.